Hello everyone, this is Gage from Gondorian Smith, and today I'm going to be bringing you guys another Third Age Reforged online multiplayer battle replay. This one is a 3 versus 3 on the Barrow Downs map, which is a kind of new map, and honestly, I actually haven't played on it yet, but it looks very cool, and it seems to be a very popular map, at least recently. And also, I should mention that this replay was sent to me by J-Monster, so big thank you to him before we begin. If you guys do not know who he is, he's a very good YouTuber. He does a lot of Reforged, among other things. And he was kind enough to send me this replay. So if you guys do not know who he is, go ahead and check out the link in the description below and check out his stuff. I would definitely subscribe to him if you have not done so already. I would highly recommend it. Anyway, without any further ado, we should go ahead and go into the army compositions. But first, I actually would like to mention that if my voice does sound a little weird, that's because I'm actually a landscaper now. And yesterday, right at the end of the day, we were chopping down weeds for like 2.5 hours, so my allergies kind of went crazy, which is why I waited so long to actually start recording or start this video. And also, I should say a big thank you to all the players who have sent me replays, because at least recently I have been kind of needing them because of all the moving and all the working that I haven't really had a ton of time to play in my own, but hopefully I will get some of my own replays out pretty shortly. However, we can go into his army composition first. He's got a couple units of the M-Ladder Sentinels who are an AP Lancer Cav. They are very, very deadly off the charge. However, because they do not have shields, they can get skirmished down pretty quickly. And he also, one of these units is actually where his general is, I believe. I think it's this one actually, 40 and 30. Yes, that is where his general is. He's also got 2 units of the M-Ladder's Riders who are a very good horse archer that M-Ladders can actually field. He's got 3 units of the Eldar Tar, who I believe have the armor upgrade, it looks like. Yes, they're a pike unit that is very, very good. He's also got 3 units of the Eldar Makar and 3 units of the M-Ladder's Guardians, all with their armor upgrades. And in addition to this, he's got 3 units of the Eldar Klinga, again with armor upgrades. So that will pretty much do it for his army. He definitely looks like went for a kind of a holding force, because he doesn't have like any shock, infantry, or really high damage units on the field. Anyway, we can now go over here to the first of his allies, who is Rudauer, being commanded by Agamund of the Winter Court. I'm like 99% positive I slaughtered that, but I do apologize for that. However, he's got a couple units here of the Hairend and Pikes, well, only 1 here, but 1 on the other side as well. He's got 4 units of the Rudauer Swordsmen who have a high damage and pretty good melee defense. However, their armor is somewhat low, so they can get skirmished down kind of easily. However, their shields do protect them from most incoming skirmish fire. But you do have to be a little bit more careful with these guys than, say, something like the Arthedain Men-at-Arms. However, these guys do have much higher damage than them. He also has a couple units here of the Dunmen Hunters, who work very similar in a lot of ways to like Orc Archers, like low-tier Orc Archers, because they have a ton of men in the unit. Not high damage and pretty horrible stats, however. If you do allow these guys to fire for an extended period of time, they can actually do a lot of damage, especially to Elven archers, who tend to be somewhat lightly armored. In addition to this, he's got 1 unit of the Hairand Rangers, who are of course a body-piercing ranger. He's also got 1 unit of the Black Wolves down here, who act very similar to the Berserkers, that being they have low armor and high damage. They're also shock infantry. They have 2 hit points and are AP. He also has 2 units of the Ettenmoor's Troll Hunters. 1 is over here, 1 is on the other side, who are a very deadly javelin unit. And they actually turn into spearmen as well once they are all out of ammo, and you can see they also deploy stakes. And also they actually can use shield wall once they are all out of ammo as well. So if you find yourself against a pike line, you can use these guys to throw javelins into it and then actually use shield wall to push straight through it. So they are very, very cost effective. For his general, he has got 1 unit of the Hairend Nobles over here, which is a very, very deadly unit, and I believe they actually use maces in close combat, so they are AP in melee as well as off the charge. He also has 1 unit right here of the Witcherelm Slavers, and last time I played with these guys, they were technically like a halberd unit, but right now it looks like they actually got turned into kind of like a 2-handed axe unit, so I'm going to be very excited to see how those guys work in the battle. He also has 2 units here of the Coldfell Maidens, who are a mounted javelin unit and are very deadly to enemy cav, which is something that Rudauer really does need, because Rudauer cannot really field that much of its cav on its own. Or anyways, I should say. However, over here we can now go to the final ally of J-Monster, who is going to be Savage Paradox, commanding an army of Harad. He's got 6 units, I believe, 5 or 6 units here of the Southron Warband, who are an AP spear unit, very low on stats really and armor. However, the AP can tend to do pretty good work for them. However, most of the time they do have to be supported. He also has 3 units of the Muhad Beast Tamers here, who are a pretty somewhat cheap, I guess, pike unit, but they also actually are very lightly armored. So Even more so than other pikes, they can get skirmished down very quickly. He also has a 1 unit of the Champions of Nafrat, who are an AP shock infantry unit with multiple hit points and really nice damage values. He's also got 1 unit of the Trollman Harad, who really don't need much of an introduction. He's got 2 units here of the Serpent Guard, as well as 1 unit of the Black Serpent Bodyguard for his general. And he also has 1 unit of the Mumakil and 2 units of the Herodrim Archers, but that'll pretty much do it for his army, unless he has any hidden units, which we can see later in the battlefield. So we can now go over here to the first of the other team's armies, this being Revan of Korban, who's going to be commanding an army of Arun. He's got 1 unit of the Dragon's Wrath Warlords for his general. He also has 1 unit of the Lok Inasrim. I believe he has 2 units here of the Variag Mercenaries, who are a Horse Archer unit, and actually should do pretty well against most of Harad because Harad is so lightly armored. And against the Serpent Guard, the Horse Archers actually should do pretty good as well. However, against the Mumakil, I think Arun is going to have a very difficult time. He also has 3 units here of the Lok Flagrim, 1 here, 1 there, and 1 on the far side. He's got 2 or 3 units here of the Eastron Guard, who are AP kind of halberds, I guess you could call them. He's got 1 unit of the Belkoth Tribesmen, and unlike before where pretty much any Javelin could take down a unit of Mumakil pretty easily, I believe there's only like 4 or 5 very specific units out of all of the Javelin units in the game that can take out Mumakil as quickly as before. One of them, I believe, was the Belkoth, or is the Belkoth Sapphire Bladesman, or no, the Belkoth Sapphire Bladesman, I think is what they're called. Which is, they're basically just a very elite version of the Belkoth Tribesmen, but it looks like Revan of Korban does not have them here, so I think he's going to find it very difficult to be able to take out those Mumakil. However, he also has a couple units here of the Variag Mercenaries, as well as 2 units of Lok Narim, so a ton of archers, and that should do really dang well against most of Harad, who is of course very lightly armored. However, he has to make sure to allow his archers a long enough period of time to actually begin opening fire. He's also got 3 units, I believe, maybe only 2 actually, of the Lok Gamprim, who are an AP Halberd unit. And I think that pretty much does it for his army, except for this 1 unit of Eastron Clan War Chiefs. And these guys are actually pretty good because they have an anti-cavalry bonus, which is kind of surprising. You can see over here he has got his 2nd unit of the Varag Mercenary Riders, which is of course the Horse Archer. And over here we can see the next army, which is Arthedain, being commanded by Murrow. He's got 2 units of the Arthedain Marksmen, 2 or 3 units of the Arthedain Pikemen, being backed by 3 or 4 units of the Arthedain Men-at-Arms. He also got 2 units here of the Dunedain Peacekeepers to protect his backlines from any cav charges, as well as 2 units of the Dunedain Mounted Company, 1 unit of the Knights of Anumnas for his general, and 1 ballista. Also, he could have some hidden units like some Dunedain Rangers or Hobbit Slingers or Banded Brass Archers or something like that, because Arthedain can actually field a pretty decent amount of hidden troops, which is kind of surprising. But anyway, over here we can see the last army on the battlefield, which is the Realm of Lothlorien, being commanded by James. He has got 2 units of the Lorien Swordmasters, I believe 2 units of the Lorien Spears, 2 units of Lothlorien Axes, and 3 units, I think, of the Lorien Blades. He's also got 1 Ballista, 1 of the Edhill Tirith, who are no longer body piercing, was instead given to a different unit. He's also got 2 units here of the Lorien Archers, and back here he has got 1 Ballista, and for his general he surprisingly has a unit of the Sindar Blade Masters without the armor upgrade. You can see Halby right there. And I'm pretty sure that just about does it for the army comp, so we can go ahead and start the replay itself. And actually, oh, do not want on 2 times. But over here you can see it looks like J-Monster is definitely going to be actually trying to support his allies right away, which I think is a pretty good move. Especially because it looks like Arthedain, yeah, it looks like pretty much the entirety of the other team has a very nice hill advantage. You can see the Arthedain Marksmen just pouring arrows into those Denman Hunters, who really don't stand a chance against the Arthedain Marksmen. You can see here that Rudauer is definitely going for a rush here, which is really unsurprising considering Rudauer really can't afford to sit back and just try to skirmish the enemy down just because of how kind of their skirmishers really are. However, it looks like he actually kind of stopped. It looks like he might be waiting for the support of J-Monster to come over here. And it looks like, yeah, James was not prepared for J-Monster to come over here to support his ally. So unless James hurries over here, Murrow is going to find himself getting double teamed very, very shortly. Yeah, you can see the Rudauer swordsman rushing in right away, but ooh, looks like the Witch Roman Slavers are beginning to bear the brunt of the Arthedain Marksman's volleys, which is of course a good play there by Murrow. Looks like the Enslavers are trying to run away, which is not really the best idea because they're going to have to run a very long way to actually get out of range of those archers. Varag Mercenary Riders coming over here. Oh, and here comes some... Yeah, this is a smart play here. Just rushing the Lancer Cav through your own lines to go after the incoming infantry forces is going to be able to do a huge amount of damage there to the Rudauer Swordsman. This unit going to lose, ooh, more than half it looks like. No, just... Yeah, I'm a little confused because I think it's on large settings. But anyway, Knights of Innimaus looked like they wanted to get a charge off, but unfortunately not going to be able to do so, or just opting to not because of these Herond and Pikemen advancing here. Over here you can see that J-Monster has pretty much set up his lines, or at least is just about to get there. You can see he's beginning to open fire with his Eldar Quinga. And he actually has a really nice angle on these Lorien troops over here, because most of them are really not in a very good formation here. You can see most of them are kind of in columns. Also, something to note about the Lorien Blades is they are an incredible sword and shield infantry unit. But, oh, actually, wait. If you look over here, you can see Harad is coming over to attack Arthedain as well. So this is actually very surprising. It looks like poor Murrow is about to get triple teamed, honestly. Yeah, you can see Harad coming in from the sides with some cavalry and the Mumakil. The Mumakil are going to do a ton of damage over here, again, especially because with the lack of the, what are they called, the Troll Slayers, those Mumakil are really not going to be able to, really not going to take too many casualties. Sorry, English is hard. But anyway, Coldfell Maidens going up to the front lines, not a bad idea, because they're going to be able to throw their javelins straight into those pikemen and men-at-arms. There are also some foot javelins coming in here as well. However, looks like a lot of the infantry of Rudauer is struggling pretty heavily against that pike wall, which is really unsurprising. And if you look over here, poor Lorien has not been able to set up his line, so he's just taking a ton of losses. You can see this unit of archers already down to 56, and his troops are so blobbed up that J-Monster is really just having a field day there with his archers. But we can go ahead and take a look over here. Actually, I think I should probably slow this down because of how quickly things are... Oh, not that slow. Because of how quickly things are actually turning out to be. Looks like the enslavers are coming back here to actually try to get into the fight once more. Black Serpent Bodyguards having a difficult time here against the Knights of Innuminos as well as the Serpent Guard. If he wants to take out the Knights of Innuminos, he should probably bring his Mumakil over here. But so far, Murrow is really struggling against all these combined forces of the other team. You can see the Imladris Riders and the other cavalrymen of J-Monster over here to protect the flanks of Harad from the forces of Rune, because you can see Rune, unfortunately, is taking a pretty slow approach to things, and I don't think he can really afford to do this, because yeah, he's just really taking a slow kind of approach to this, because you can see he's just kind of reforming his lines back there when he really should be up here. Oh, looks like a bit of a micro mistake there. Looks like Rudauer accidentally charged his general's unit straight into pikes, so that was the end of his general. However, it really doesn't matter that much, because looks like elsewhere Murrow is really struggling, honestly, which is, again, unsurprising because he's having to fight against so many enemies. Both the ballista of both Murrow and the Lorien Elves have really not been able to do too much either. Oh, and here comes the infantry of J-Monster rushing into the fight. You can see some Eldar Makar and Eldar Tar, one being a sword and shield infantry, the other being a pike, about to fight against... Oh, there goes Murrow's general. And yeah, so... I don't know, James is going to be in a very bad position here, because you can see most of his troops are in a really wide, long, technically, formation, and that is really never a good thing. However, it looks like J-Monster doesn't have a ton of his other good infantry over here, though mainly being the Imladris Guardians. So he's really going to have to rely on his archers to do most of the heavy lifting here, which actually should not be too much of an issue, especially because of how blobbed up Lorien is, and because most of the Lorien forces don't have really great armor. It should actually be pretty okay for this to happen. The Unitaid Rangers are exposed now, as well as the hobbits around there somewhere. Thought I saw him for a second. Herandain Pikes fighting against some Arthedain men-at-arms, and Arthedain, pretty much has been just swept off the field. And Rune is still really taking a long time to get over here. And now, unfortunately, because he was not able to rush quickly enough over here, he's going to find himself on the low ground. He's going to have to... Ooh, yeah, this is not going to be good. He's basically Anakin versus Obi-Wan here. Especially with a lot of the cav up here. And if the Herandain Rangers of Rudauer are able to get up on this hill here, the body piercing will do a ton of damage down to the running forces. But anyway, we should now go over here, because now that Rudauer has been able to defeat Murrow, it looks like he's going to be able to come over here and support J-Monster, and that's a good thing, because you can see a lot of J-Monster's infantry actually routing. The Eldar Tar just kind of reforming the lines here, but yeah, it's not looking too good. But here come the Mumakil, you can see just trampling all these poor Lorien forces, and again, because there are no javelins here, the Mumakil are just going to be able to just do so much damage. Coldfell Maidens are over here as well. The ballista crew is getting cut down by them. However, there are some Lorien Swordmasters back there to try to take out as many of the Coldfell Maidens as possible. Some more Eldar Tar actually routing. So a lot of the infantry actually of J-Monster not doing too well, actually. But it should be okay because Lorien is about to find himself surrounded really shortly here. Oh, and there goes the general. It looks like the Dragon's Wrath warlords, or whatever they were called, were completely surrounded by some of the Haradrim Cav. I don't know quite where that was, though. Oh, it looks like it might have been over here? Yes, it was in fact over here. And that is very unfortunate, but it's something that I'm not really too surprised by, because while the stats of the Serpent Guard and the Black Serpent Bodyguards are quite a lot lower than the Runic Heavy Cav, the Haradrim Cavalry is way faster. So they would have been able to just catch up with that General's Bodyguard unit and just surround it completely and eventually be able to take it out. So already Rune finding himself in a very difficult situation here. He's got some Lok in Osram, maybe wanting to get a charge off on these Haradrim archers. However, there are some Trollmen back there, there are some Southron Spearmen, and there are a ton of pikes directly behind the archers. So if he's not careful, he could charge headlong into pikemen, which is not going to be very good whatsoever. Oh, but it looks like we'll get a pretty decent charge off nevertheless. The Eastron Clan Chief's going to go to the other unit, but he needs to be careful to not push these Inasrim a little bit, or too far forward, because he will go straight into those pikes. Looks like Rudauer is going to now go over to the aid of Harad. Harandan Nobles down to 10 after charging that pike line. And over here, J-Monster and Harad. One Mumakil actually has fallen now. But yeah, the Imlagis Guardians really struggling against the Lorien Blades, despite the Lorien Blades having fought for pretty much this whole battle so far. And I'm not really surprised by that, because for whatever reason, the Lorien Blades are actually super strong. If you bring 4 of them before the price increase, they're actually really similar to the Casimir's Legion, I think they're called now.
The enemy badly. They have only half their men left.
But yeah, it looks like James is just going to have to attempt to get as much damage as possible, because as it is, he's being really surrounded here. You can see the cavalry of J-Monster running around in the back lines as well, and it's definitely needed. He's actually having to commit a lot of his archers, because where the infantry fight has been like going on for quite some time, you can see that James is actually starting to pull things back around in his favor. However, you could see a lot of routing here, especially with the rear charges from J-Monster's Lancer Cav. You can see a lot of his troops are actually shaken. Here comes some Horse Archers, and some Edmore's Troll Hunters are cutting down some Arthedain men-at-arms. Surprisingly, the Lorien General has actually not fallen yet, but over here it looks like Rune is about to engage, or has already engaged in melee with Harad and Rudauer. Yeah, a bunch of AP here fighting hard against the Eastrons. Honestly, things are really not looking too good for the enemy team here. You can see these Eastron Guard are being unsupported here and fighting hard against the Southern Warband. They will fall, especially because they're about to get surrounded by some Southern Warband as well. But there are some AP Lok Gamprim coming in here, but that's not going to be enough to stop those Eastron Guard from routing. And the Lok Gamprim are very heavily outnumbered here. Oh, but there are Champions of Nafrat in there as well, so I think these Gamprim will fall pretty quickly. Southern Warband breaking through the lines, and again, it looks like Revenant of Korban just wasn't able to give his archers the time needed for him to actually do a good amount of damage with his archers, because he brought like 4 units of foot archers, and if you bring that many as Rune, you definitely need to be able to make them worth it, because they are pretty expensive, honestly. And against Harad, even the runic archers would still do good, but it looks like his infantry is just really not being able to hold on for long enough to allow his archers to do any good amount of damage. Oh, you can see the Gamprim, they're not even routing, but it looks like he's trying to reform them here. So that is going to cost him a lot of lives there. You can see the cavalry of Harad kind of reforming there as well. Oh, but over here in this pocket, it looks like Harad, or Brune, is actually doing pretty good, but the Gamprim actually wavering, having to fight against the Champions of Nafrat, and because they're actually getting surrounded here by some Rudauer swordsmen and some Harandan pikes. There's some Black Wolves, Harandan Rangers. If the Harandan Rangers get up here on this hill, they're going to be able to just fire directly down this line here, and the body piercing will just do an obscene amount of damage. Ooh. Looks like most of Lorien is now being cut down. Yep, the Imlagis Guardians now, their numbers just proving to be enough, especially with the constant support from the Mumakil and the Cavalry of J-Monster. Sindar Blade Master's only 19 remaining, but the General looks like it's still alive. The Eldar Makar and Eldar Hatar trying to do their best, but the Eldar Hatar actually thinking about routing, despite the fact that they are outnumbering their enemies so badly. But over here, yeah, things are... The Spears are doing a good job of holding on and actually doing a not bad job of cutting down the Eldar Klinga, the archers. However, the Mumakil just constantly running around, and because Lorien has no answer to the Mumakil are just getting so many kills. Black Wolves are over here as well. Looks like I actually brought 2 units of Black Wolves because you can bring 2 of them before the price increase. Rudour Swordsman cutting down the last of the Ballista crew, but also getting rear charged by the remaining Knights of Anuminos, who are taking arrows from every direction. And over here you can see the second unit of the Imladder Sentinels going after the Dunedain Rangers. It looks like the Marksmen are also up there as well. Going to try to give a little bit of archer support, but honestly, Murrow was just taken out so quickly. But there really wasn't much he could do because he got rushed by actually even 3 factions right away. But he did have the support of Lorien. Honestly, I feel like the other team could have made this a lot closer had Rune been a bit more aggressive. I think he wasted too much time kind of reforming his lines down there. As soon as he saw Harad going for Arthedain as well, he should have just booked it as quickly as possible and then tried to sandwich Harad in between himself and Arthedain. But looks like that is not what happened. Actually, you can see over here the Coldfell Maidens with their lances out. Actually, that looks like a new animation. I don't think I've actually seen that before in Reforged, honestly. Or I just didn't look that too closely. But yeah, you can see a lot of the infantry of Revan routing here, which is... yeah, he did lose his general early on, so his infantry is not going to hold for very much longer. His archers also being attacked now. The cavalry of J-Monster over here running around amongst the archers, as well as the cavalry of Harad. So yeah, not a terribly close battle, but again, that's fine. It was I still thought it was a cool battle. Also, it was a really good showcase of kind of how to deal with your enemies, because as long as you work together as a team, like J-Monster's team did, you can see how pretty easy it is to actually defeat your enemy. You just have to make sure you work as a team. Also, I think that the other team could have worked a little bit better as a team, but again, there's really not much you can do about that. Yeah, over here, the Lorien force is still doing a good job at fighting against J-Monster's infantry. You can see Eldar Quinga, with the support of the Mumakil. Looks like they were able to take out the Lorien infantry over here. So it'll just be a matter of how long these Lorien axes and Sindar Blade Masters will last, and that's not going to be for very much longer because of the rear charges from the AP Imladder Sentinels. Haldir, though, still standing strong. Let's see if he's able to actually kill the maybe Imladder General. Nope, that's not going to happen. I'll put it back up to 1 speed now, or normal speed, I should say. But yeah, Mumakil are very deadly. They're still really expensive, like 2,000 florins. But if you use them correctly, they can get a ton of damage. You have to be very careful and make sure that if you do bring them, maybe make sure that you're not going to be facing against any of the factions, or at least maybe not more than 2 of the factions that can bring that Javelinier that can still just melt the Mumakil. Because that would be very unfortunate if you lost your 2,000 florin investment super quickly. Variag Mercenaries routing again. Rune was just unable to withstand the full might of both of those armies, which is understandable.
Running like a startled goat. Hunt him down.
Actually, we'll go back over here because it looks like this is where the fight will end. There are still some Arthedain marksmen up on the hill, but they're about to get charged by some of the Imladder Sentinels. Again, you can see that the Imladder Sentinels have taken a lot of losses, and I don't even think they took any, or many casualties, sorry, from fighting enemy cavalry. It's mostly, I believe, was just from the constant archer fire that they were under. And I feel like I've said it a lot, but I just love the look of the Imladder's Guardians with their armor upgrade. I really like the silver with maroon and blue. I think it looks real nice, or navy rather. And it looks like that will be just about it, so I can go ahead and put it up to 2 times for now. Because it is just going to be a matter of running down the routing troops. Or, did I say running or routing? I meant to say routing, but I possibly said running. Let's go over here. Maybe there is a small pocket of fighting somewhere.
See the enemy run before our might. We will leave nothing behind.
But yeah, this map looks actually really fun, honestly. For a team battle, you know, just like one team versus another, it might not work out too well because it looked like the one team did have a very major hill advantage. But I think for a free-for-all, I think it would work very well. And it looks really amazing, actually. I think I like it a lot. Looks like it took a lot of time to make. I actually didn't ever get to see the Witcher and Slavers in melee, so I couldn't tell if they still had, or if they were still technically a halberd or not. Looks like they're still. It looks like they got changed to a 2-handed unit. which I think that's kind of cool. But anyway, that will be the end of this battle. You can see that the most kills for J-Monster's team went to Savage Paradox with 1,500. The most kills for the other team went to Revan of Korban with 994. And the kills were actually pretty even for their team. But anyway, we can take a quick look at the exact kills now. Looks like the Imladra Sentinels of J-Monster, actually all of his cavalry except for one unit of these Sentinels doing very well, and the rest of his infantry and archers did not do bad either. These two units of Eldar Quinga actually getting over 100 kills, which is very nice. But anyway, that will be the end of this video. Again, big thank you to J-Monster for sending me the replay. Again, the link to his channel will be down in the description below. So if you guys did enjoy this battle, please comment, like, and subscribe. If you did not, just tell me what I did wrong, and I'll be sure to fix it for the next video. So farewell wherever you fare, till your armies receive you at your journey's end.